I want Gandhi and Krishna and Moksha and Bodhisattva. Well, welcome to Ancient Wisdom, episode 62, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. We got a big one. We're back with the Bhagavad Gita. We're going to do chapter 3 today. Last we left off was Arjuna talking to Sri Bhagavan on the battlefield, right as the sweet nectar of battle was about to be shed. And Krishna came down and he, in the form of Sri Bhagavan, and he was telling Arjuna about the nature of life. And he's got a lot of lessons throughout the Bhagavad Gita, but today we're going to talk about chapter 3, also known as Karma Yoga. But how that translates for our purposes are selfless action. The theme of today is going to be selfless action. Section 1, Arjuna says, okay, I understand all that. You say intelligence is superior to action, and yet you goad me into fight the war? Why?
I think he's telling him that although intelligence is superior to physical violence, you need enough intelligence to know when it's time to use violence, because there's a time and place for everything. Maybe that's what he was going for.
Heck yeah. So Krishna, as usual, these Indian teachers, they take you the roundabout way, but see if we could follow along and see if we could infer anything along the way. Krishna hits them. There are two paths to transcendental enlightenment. One path is of knowledge based on philosophy and contemplation, and another is based on work or action. I
hear karma forcing him to act. Because doing the good deeds without the expected reward goes beyond the intelligence. Yeah. You're just supposed to do what is brought before you, which is why he must go to war without thinking about it, for the purpose of future karma, my friend.
Future karma, my friend.
And it's the perfect time for him to go to war because he doesn't have an end in sight. He doesn't have a means to the end in sight.
Yeah.
The fact that he's apprehensive, I think, is even the more of the reason. Like, it is, there are only two decisions at that point in his time.
Yeah. It's also just as tough. Karma yoga, I think about women sometimes when I think about this, because we know our ancient talk about suru and aru in Japanese, which is basically the doing of men, but it's the being of women. Now, is that not purity in its most literal sense? The best men do. They know how to do. They're the best at doing. But the best women know how to be.
Ooh.
The purest of all being. They can just be without having... What's that? Yeah, without...
Dude, that is so deep because all they want to do is not just be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost as if they're looking at the other, the male, and think that they have to do something to match that or copy that.
Yeah.
When it's just not meant to be like that at all. So we don't need a copier. You're fine what you're doing.
We have Sri Bhagavan getting deeper here. Abstaining from work and physical renunciation is not the answer. Both are inadequate ways to divine enlightenment. Not for one moment can one live without action. What do you think of that?
You said it before too about don't pick the tea leaves, meditate. Don't wash the dishes, meditate. It seems like he's telling him that everything, all action in life can be an opportunity to attain enlightenment. But I guess it's about your mindset regarding the action.
I like that a lot. We're gonna get into that a little deeper too in a few.
You know, it's funny. I heard this Chinese CEO, he said, the purpose of life is work. Would you not agree?
I would not agree. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's so not enlightened.
And of course, just naturally, just living in 2024, my mind does sort of go to the feminine problem of today. And this, on the surface, this could be a contradiction. It says not for one moment you could do anything. But Mitch, you just said women are being. Who's to say? Are they not mutually exclusive? Doing and being, it's a form of doing, and that's the yin yang. they both have a piece. It goes into each other, but the center of the circle is supposed to be the opposite color of the opposite. They both have a core of its opposite, and that's what it is. Just because you are being does not mean that time does not exist in your reality. You still must go through time and be okay with the state of being. Not for one moment, Krishna says, can one live without action.
Well, I've never heard the yin and yang explained as the little speck as a core. As opposed to just a piece. Oh, they got a little bit of this, and I've never heard it as the core of the opposite power.
That's like where it emanates from. If you think about it, where else would it come from? You could see maybe like I want to make a 3-dimensional yin yang where the core actually loops back into the little tail.
I could see eternity. I could see that happening behind.
Yeah, exactly.
This image right here.
And you should ask AI to make that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I'm patenting that. I know how to take that idea.
3D yin yang symbol.
It seems like they're saying that it represents that they're the same thing, really, even though they're different. That's pretty cool.
Oh, good visualization.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we think, right? What do you guys say? That maybe, maybe I'll just do nothing then. Right? Maybe I'll just renounce my life. You ever heard people do this? Even Buddha got caught into that nonsense before he was enlightened. Remember? He tried it all. He's like, I'll starve myself. I'll go without sex. I'll hit myself. He tried it all.
Are these not the monks? Are these not what monks do?
Yeah. Yeah, these are
they get into communities and they abstain and they all get together and basically eat less and go into intense physical activity. And I always thought, like, why can't you be a working man and be a monk?
Yeah, that's a tough one. That it really is.
I think that a lot.
I feel like it's been described as a means as well. Like you are closer. It's almost slightly easier to attain enlightenment in that way.
When you deny yourself.
When you deny yourself.
About a lot.
Because one of the main tenets too that they don't mention often in the West is you really have to be alone. Having a family or having too many people around you all the time is not good for the enlightenment state. You really need to take that time for just God.
I have trouble with this one, Mitch.
Oh, what's that?
Because, the God or the universe or, the upayas, they gave us the substance to produce a family, to have offspring. Like, it's the natural way.
Yeah.
Why would it not be the natural way to live in that and be close to God? Why do you have to do this unnatural thing of going away from everything to get close to God? That's why it confuses me.
Oh man, that's a deep question.
That is a deep question.
What if the ability to reproduce and create a family and stuff like that is really just a means for individual souls to go off and realize their oneness with all beings and all things? Because you can't have that experience unless there's the excuse, the plausible deniability to get together and have a family and reproduce. Because otherwise,
very Western ways, Evan. We're thinking very Western right now.
That's right.
Yeah, we are.
And it feels good. It's cool. This makes for good content.
Yeah.
But think about it, right? So I always see it from this perspective that there could be a son. Perhaps in your own life, you guys realize there's a son who's more enlightened than the parents. It happens all the time. Happens in the movies, it happens in real life. And you're like, how is this even possible? A parent has lived way longer, they've had more life experience, 2-3 times the life, but yet somehow this intangible thing perhaps called soul. And does that not ring true that there are older souls that appear sometimes? And that the family is merely a method of passing the buck, if you will. In the Hindu mythology, if you don't attain enlightenment and you feel like you never had a chance, then you have a child. Because maybe your child will be enlightened. And now you nurture this child, this next soul, and you put your chickens in the next basket for the next life.
Whoa.
And now that's your new karma to take care of this new soul. You have taken upon a new role now to nurture and bear this child to fruition.
I can relate to this a lot. Not saying that I'm enlightened or whatever, but like my parents, they came from like this war-torn country and like they didn't really do much but work.
Yep.
They really didn't. So I feel like I almost have to live up to this like opportunity that like they slaved to give me,
Right.
It's like I'm like I have to try to be a more enlightened soul and less so much of a laborious being.
Yeah, absolutely. And if not just for your parents, for God too, like you have been given, consciously you have been given more time, more opportunity than your parents have.
I feel like I have like more of a higher bar to have to live up to because of that.
Yeah.
Like it's like a subconscious internal feeling I have.
Where there's pressure, it don't make no diamonds, baby. It makes hate. I think it makes resentment. Whereas like the true feeling is yeah, I'll give you the opportunity, and yeah, I hope you take advantage of it, but I love you either way. I've been thinking about this a lot recently too, right? How in the West it's kind of this disease of the mind right now. It's been plaguing me for years. We don't care about good people. In general, we don't care about raising good children. We say, no, as long as you're not dead, as long as you have a lot of money, as long as you have a house so you don't die and you could see me all the time. And then it becomes selfish because it's back on you again.
Well, it really boils it all down to fear of death, huh?
Fear of death. And that's why the Hindus have taken it right out of the book. They said, you will live again.
Wow.
Christ has died. Christ will come again.
Yeah, they're
That's
hurrying.
the enlightened.
They're hurrying up to die. It seems
Yeah.
in a way. That's how it seems.
You need to make
Wow,
me feel better
yeah.
about death.
They're like past the death part.
Yeah.
They're like looking into the life and the life and the life and the life after.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Or like, I gotta live now, so how do I live forever kind of thing.
Yeah, and
It's like-
therefore perhaps you pass it on to the next generation.
Right.
You do what you can do. It's been feeling more and more like me, especially looking into this tradition, is that the child is almost natural, but it's also passing the buck. It's also giving another chance to another being. Because as we know on this show, I don't even think your child is yours. The child is a child of God that you have been put in charge of to bring to fruition, to bring on earth, to raise.
You've released my anxieties, Mitch.
Yeah, hell yeah. Glad to hear.
And I'm not saying that like facetiously. Like
Yeah, no.
you've explained away the anxiety.
Yeah, at least from the
Yeah.
Hindu tradition,
Yeah.
this is what they're saying, because they've thought all this before too. You know, maybe one generation is wealthy, one generation is poor, and then it fuels all these sort of mental stagnations,
Expectations,
any number
like
of
you
things.
said, the pressure don't make diamonds.
oriented.
Press
Yeah.
don't make diamonds, baby. So, have you guys ever heard of something called digunas, my friend?
I have not.
Oh, let
But
me
it sounds
enlighten
pretty
you,
good
dog.
now.
Some tells me I'm gonna.
So Krishna finishes off and he says, one is compelled to act, influenced by the three modes of material nature, also known as digunas. But Krishna is not kind enough to explain them. But here's the thing. If you're reading the Bhagavad Gita, they assume that they assume you're Indian.
You
for one
remember
thing.
the gunas.
They're like, you don't know the gunas? Oh, you're going to hell.
You have to turn back now.
Yeah, that's right. They assume you've read all the Vedas, all the Upanishads. They assume you've read the rest of the Mahabharata. So, allow me to do what Krishna, God, did not. Damn. Guna number 1, which all action is based off of, compelled by the three gunas. One is called sattva, my friend. From a bodhisattva, you might know this term. And the characteristics of the sattva are clarity, purity, and balance. This is calm, clarity, fostering a state of harmony, spiritual progress. This is the good one. This is the one we all desire, I think. But then we got the middle, rajas, which is desire, restlessness, action. Action influenced by the rajas, driven by personal desires, ambition, and attachment. This is sort of activity, overactivity, restlessness, a constant pursuit of pleasure and success. There it is, pleasure and success. We're talking about, we need this. You need to be this. I need to be this. And I love you. I say that. So you need to do this. And I put all this stress in your head. So you need to be this too. And it turns out, we'll find out in a little bit, that this is actually the worst of them all. But I won't spoil it yet. And the third of the gunas is tamas, ignorance, inertia, darkness.
Whoa.
Ignorance, characterized by laziness, delusion, lack of motivation, confusion, lethargy, stagnation.
You really think that the rajas is worse than the tamas, the way you described it right now?
I won't spoil it, but that is a good question, and we're going to get a little deeper before I answer that.
Sure.
So, Krishna goes on to say, it is possible, my friend, that one restrains one's senses, but continues to think of sensual pleasure. He is not really inactive, but he is a hypocrite.
Wow.
The true inactivity, the fake gurus, etc. These hypocrites. And you might say to yourself, where have I heard this before? Where have I heard this before? May I quote Matthew 16:6? And whatever you fast, do not look dismal, like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces so as to show others that they are fasting. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward. Jesus talked a lot about the hypocrites. Think about what that's saying. You're showing. Why are you really doing these things? But Jesus talked a lot about the hypocrites. Matthew 23:13. But woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you shut the kingdom of heaven in people's faces, for you do not go in yourselves. And when others try to go in, you stop them.
Wow. I don't think it was very clear to me until just now, but it seems like the ones who, the hypocrites, they don't really want to please God or get to know him and be one with him. They really want to please the people around them.
They want to please the rajas and the tamas.
The rajas and the tamas.
No, seriously, the hypocrites want to have a busy mind, a passion or activity.
Yeah.
And the tamas want to just lay around and be lazy and not really want to get to heaven, but maybe say they are.
Yeah. Oh, right? Man, there it is.
Only the sattvas are really aiming.
There it. Yo, see, you're even getting ahead of me. That's dope. Exactly. You know, sattvas are where they need to be. Almost by definition, they're pure. They're on the right path. Mm-hmm. But I'll just say the word because we're talking about Jesus. He said lukewarm. Y'all remember this? Be hot and cold, not lukewarm. Mm-hmm. And of course, I think that everybody in the rajas, passion, activity, it's like this
heat.
I like that heat and the futility of doing and doing and doing, but it's not the right inaction. It's restlessness, personal ambition, attachment. This is what we talked about with our parents. This is the West.
Yeah,
I feel it.
Personified. I really see. We might as well call United States of Rajas, my friend. This is what we try to do. We're all about ambition. Instagram. This is why we're failing. At least, I'd say, if we were Tamas, we could live in dark. We could all be Joe Biden, but at least we wouldn't be full of it. Well, maybe that's not a good example. But we could all just be sitting in our basement as the world burns. At least we wouldn't be hypocrites.
Do you think Japan is more tamas or rajas? I'm imagining tamas because they're like on autopilot.
Yeah.
They're just
I like that a lot. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're not even trying. They're just like, I will go to work for 14 hours a day because that's what everyone does and I don't care.
Wow. Instead, they've totally given up. I think that's the Eastern world right now, especially the higher end Eastern world, China, Japan, Korea. They're not even having babies because they're so inert. Living in confusion, lethargy, they don't leave their house. Hikikomori is the Japanese word for not leaving your house. There's people who just don't ever leave their house, still live with their parents, room's a mess, order food, play 90s video games.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, it's better than we are here, for real.
At one time, it seemed like the West was starting to, speaking of the yin and yang thing, East and West, it seems like the West was starting to begin to adopt these Eastern practices and traditions, and now it seems like the East is really succumbing to Western influence, and we're starting to swap. But nowadays, I feel like the West is sometimes just digging itself further into our own pit of culture.
That's super deep because the way I would characterize it is like when it's something that's not of your culture, it's another reason. I mean, one of the many why America's failing right now. If we were just all Christian, that'd be one thing. You could find a way as Sri Ramakrishna said, you could find enlightenment through any means, through any religion. But the fact is maybe that the Eastern stuff came over and we bastardize it. What did they say of Buddhism? I think Alan Watts said is that it's Hinduism stripped for export. Is that Buddhism can exist around the world, but we don't even know what it is. We don't have the Vedas. I had to look deep and find out what the gunas are, because this Sri Bhagavad say, you should know the gunas. You don't know the gunas? He's yelling at me. I says, geez. But, we try to take it for what it is.
Yeah, with Christianity being one of those ways that you could attain enlightenment, it's just sad to see when America was more Christian. I saw videos from the 90s of black people being interviewed in the cities and stuff like that. And they go up to they go up to black people and are like, what's wrong with white people? Yeah. That was the question I recently heard. And like, nothing. I'm human. He's human. It was very cordial, and they saw each other as
thanks
no
a lot,
different.
Obama.
Exactly, but it kind of just goes to show that there's just a conglomeration of all these different faiths and religions now.
That's a good point.
As opposed to just Christianity when it was between the blacks and the whites.
Wow, yeah, that's a good point. It confuses people. We're a simple race. We're a simple creature. And if we get too many competing messages, cults start forming, people get confused, there's no stability, and the simple human mind, it needs a lot of stability. But this is sort of this is the Tamas. I'm going to hit you with some Poj. When pleased, the gods supply gifts that are necessities for life. But using those necessities without performing sacrifices in gratitude is as good as theft.
Wow.
That was a lot. That was a lot to unpack there.
What am I sacrificing?
Powerful. This kind of feels like the Asian thing. Like they're not so bad over there. Like there's no crime. They're doing good stuff. But like, wait a second, technology and all this modern confusion, it's still destroying the world.
Yeah.
There was this like Catholic aspect that I never agreed with, that like you can't be happy without like hurting yourself kind of thing. And this reminds me of that. And I never liked that.
Gratitude humbles us, and it gives us that realer life where we could actually connect with people. I remember when I might have told this on the show before, but I was at a Thanksgiving dinner once, and they didn't even give thanks. It was the strangest thing, especially I'm really coming around to the spiritual side of things, and we all sit down, I'm like looking around, and they're like, all right. And look down, don't look up for the next half hour. All right, everyone got their food? All right. And I'm like, what the hell is that? I had to stop everything.
All right. Every time, every year.
All right. Yeah.
That's a good skit. That'd be funny.
Yeah, and it was real life, unfortunately. So Sri Bhagavan says, however, the prescribed duties does not apply to one who is illuminated and fully self-realized. He has no motivation to perform them because he has nothing to gain or lose.
Whoa.
Now, maybe we can't comment too much about it because perhaps we're not realized beings. But if you have any thoughts, that's fine. But I'll go to a worldly realm here and say, could this be a situational mindset as well?
That's what I think. Yep.
The prescribed duties do not apply. He has no motivation to perform them because he has nothing to lose or gain. Don't you find out when you stress about a situation, you don't perform as well as you could?
Definitely.
Every time. Making music is the biggest example.
Oh, exactly. The arts. The purest manifestation on earth is the art form.
Mm-hmm.
You really can't worry too much about the final product. You could kind of scheme, you could kind of do an outline, but if it's trash, you have to be willing to accept that. And if you're with the spirits, it probably won't be.
That's why it's interesting how that's not really discussed in Western culture and entertainment. There's always these great triumph stories of the underdog, like, oh, be careful, he's got nothing to lose kind of thing.
Nothing to lose.
And the victor, or the title holder, has a lot to lose, so that dynamic is always there.
Yeah.
But there's hardly that Asian character or archetype in there that's just like, I do not care if I win.
That's pretty good.
Like, but he wins every time.
Yeah.
But it's like in the West, we've just like fetishized that eternal struggle of the God and Satan, and I know there's a lot of
Duality.
Yeah, there's a lot of pairs or groups of three in this Bhagavad Gita, it seems.
Yeah,
in
it's
Hindu
true.
religion.
Because it's like that hidden Holy Spirit in between.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. It's kind of the only Trinity we know of in the West. And the Holy Spirit, like we mentioned last week, is always the most curious one. I'm sure I'm not the only one who said, okay, God, Father, I get that. Okay, Son, yep, Jesus, a check. Holy Spirit? What the fuck is that about? Holy Spirit. That could be Wu Wei. That could be the middle way. That could be being unattached to the results.
Dude, you might have heard this before, but I just discovered that in the Chinese translation of the Bible, might be Mandarin, but in all of them, their word for the Tao, that's used instead of he was the word of God, or like in the word was with God, it's he was with the Tao was with God, and the Tao was always kind of thing. They took the word and replaced it with Tao in the Chinese translation. I just realized that. I'm like, that's pretty deep.
Yeah, that could be infinitely broken down. My spirit, the Tao, the beginning of it all.
Because that word,
that
word is always such a source of great argument in the West, it seems.
Oh yeah, it's probably been the one most broken down of all of Christian history.
Yep.
What is the word? The beginning. It's all about the word. What is the word? Whose word? Is it speaking?
A word, the collective word, the words on the paper.
Yeah. But if you take it as Tao or the way, it's like an easy one. It's also like used in the kanji for path. The kanji for road, anything that's like a way, it's a direction, and that is very Holy Spirit to me. I feel like, ooh, this is a good explanation. The Father is at the end of the road, way down there, and like Jesus is with me. Jesus walks with me, but the road itself is the Holy Spirit, the Michi, the path, the Tao,
life itself.
Yeah, life itself. The natural
flow of things.
Cool. Yep.
Wow.
The conundrum, the situation we find ourselves in. I love that. So perform your duties, work without attachment to the fruits of your action. Only this can lead to you realizing God. It is the three modes of material nature, the gunas, that perform all activities. But the ignorant, deluding himself to be the body, thinks that he is the doer. What do you think about that?
This is a tough one, but I'm getting an inkling. I'm trying to feel like how I could word this.
See, I've faltered many times in my life, just like overthinking. Where's overthinking come from? The mind. Ooh, the very last line of this chapter will blow your mind, but we'll get there. I faltered many times thinking I am the body. And it just spiritually, just speaking with God right now, I'm not this body. I'm more than that. And this says, the channel, I like that. And this is saying that the gunas are the things that actually do the things. It's not you. It's the gunas. It's what spirit you represent. It's what piece of nature are you exemplifying.
I hear intention. I hear not goal, but like intent. I hear like the purpose of your action more than the action.
Yeah. And they take it deeper than that with this word karma yoga. Right? Even in the way that we see it in the West, karma yoga, not being attached to the results, right? Always come back to that theme. Not being attached to the results. Because maybe we are not the one doing, and we are not the one even receiving the results. Maybe these are all just processes. Maybe it's all the path. It's all the Tao.
When you really start to look at what's going on in the mind in those situations, whenever I get a desire, I'm attached to the outcome like that. It's like I'm sucked into another realm almost. Something totally takes over.
Yeah.
And
takes over.
It
perhaps Rajesh.
It does invoke Rajesh and a lot of anxiety and desire for security and outcomes.
All I do is Rajesh.
And success and self attainment, or one of the other words in Rajesh.
There are distinct personalities that I have. I had to try to sit down and write them out one time. I came up with like 5 or 6. I'm like, oh, this is like the very deductive Mitch. I want to find stuff out. Oh, this is the very lackadaisical mix. Doesn't care about anything today. There's different spirits that inhabit our being, different modes of our realm, and you could feel like you're a totally different person from one day to another. And I think what the Gita does is narrow it down to the 3 gunas, saying it's really just one of these 3. And at least if you're not a hypocrite, you could be in ignorance, be in the tamas. But it's just funny to think that the worst part so far is kind of being in the middle with the rajas. The answer to this diseased condition is to meditate on me and surrender unto me in the full knowledge. Practicing my teachings faithfully without envy will bring freedom from karmic bondage. Going with the Poe just talking about the karma.
Sounds like Jesus again.
Being with God. And this is also a reason to separate yourself from the world, because there are too many distractions. If you choose to go on an enlightened path, you need to at least make that time. They go hard in these traditions because some people really want to be enlightened. They just, it's their lifetime to do it, so they give up everything and go live in a temple. But I think it's good for everybody to take a little time, meditate, get away, meditate on me, capital M. And envy is desiring a reward, right? Or worse, perhaps someone else's reward, but still being attached to the outcome.
I think going off out on your own too, it reduces the inhibitions for envy kind of thing, because you're not forced to look at people all the time.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So
I like
it's a good selfless act. And I thought,
I feel poisoned scrolling through YouTube videos.
Definitely. And I thought for some reason, I'm like, oh, just a second ago, don't I love people more if I spend more of my time with them? But then I realized there have been times where I've spent long periods of time alone, and I learned to love somebody that I had a passing thought about, like wish peace upon them kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like I gained more love for that person in that moment than I would have been like seeing them all the time and telling them how I feel about them.
Yeah, that's deeper than you even know, man, because could that be reminiscent of a soul that we seek?
I think so.
I feel the same way, baby. Are they so bad? Oh, yeah, love, peace, humanity, blah, blah. Then I see him, I'm like, I want to kill this fucker. I'm like, why did I even try to be nice? I hate you.
Like you should have just thought of them.
I should have just thought of them.
I'm glad that time we were friends. He's a good guy. Let it go.
Seriously. And I'm like, is that not, Evan brings up a good point, is that not what we talk of with this soul word, this word of soul? It is the thing that is deeper than the personality, deeper than the reality of the rajas, deeper than what you say to me, deeper than the outcome, because, now I'm attached to the outcome. You're a piece of shit to me. Now I want to be a piece of shit back. Oh, okay. It creates something. Now I'm attached to the outcome. Now I want revenge. Now I want to seem like the bigger person. Now I want to post on Instagram. But being with the soul, just knowing the soul, you could love yourself like you love your neighbor. Of course, we must be in the real world. Is that if that's where you're going, Poge?
Yeah, I was almost going to say, like, you can't avoid everyone you have problems with, right? We must be in the real world. But I suppose when you do see them, understand this and remember this. It will probably help you be with them.
Well put. I like that a lot. For it is the senses which affect desires and aversions. Do not let them be in control, as they are the enemies that block the path to self-realization. This is saying it's not even the guy that I said, fuck you. It's my very own senses that are my enemies, that cause me to be in this state, influenced by the gunas. Is that not interesting?
I just think about the Latinas that I knew in grade school growing up. It's like, oh, she look at me wrong.
She look at me wrong.
I'm like, that's because you're looking.
Yeah, you're looking. That comes from you.
Yeah.
We really forget it's this human nature thing. Like, why are you mad at somebody? It's because of how you feel. It's so easy to be stuck in the rajas. It's how you feel about... You could say, that was disrespectful. I want revenge, or I don't like them, but that's still on you. I get it. It's maybe not fair. Because to a certain degree, we have to get through the era of being influenced by stuff like that.
Another big one is, I suppose, people who like go out of their way to fix something that no one even remembers anymore. You know, someone that has like a big sense of like guilt or regret about something.
Like,
This is like almost
that's a huge one.
an this is like the opposite of what you just said.
Yeah.
Like getting
That's always a
mad, it's
funny
almost
one,
it's
too.
almost like it's almost like, oh man, if I'll do this so it'll fix this feeling I have.
Yeah.
But it won't.
That's pretty deep too. Like I've been in conversations with people, and maybe I say something that rubs them the wrong way or something, and then 10 minutes later they'll be like,
But
how about that thing? I'm like, what?
but we're still talking
What?
about
We're
that.
talking about that? Everyone forgot. We're like on to 7 different subjects.
Yeah.
But it's still eating them
It's eating
inside.
them, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. And that just being lost and having that love and understanding where it's just the soul. It's not the person. Don't be attached to the outcome. Like, love what you can. And like Poach said, remember these teachings. Maybe that's what teachings are for. That's why people wrote things down. It's like, hey, I'm kind of dealing with things better than I did. I'm going to write it down.
so this could possibly help someone else.
Yeah, exactly. Is it perfect? No. Is it poetic and intangible? Yes.
I'm in a better place than I was yesterday, so I'm gonna write this down.
God damn it, I'm going to write this down.
When you're talking about revenge, it made me think of how you set up your own condition to want revenge because you overreacted to this person who is, crossed with you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. We set up the scenario to want revenge.
We want it. It's weird. And maybe it's one of these spirits that sort of overtakes us, trapping us to our mortal coil. That it makes as much sense as anything. If you start to really pay attention to how you feel and your thoughts on a day-to-day basis, as I have, it's like, whoa, I am caught in currents. Like, why am I feeling this right now? I feel
like a spider
bad
web you
or
walked
good.
through kind of thing.
Oh, it's sticky. I'm like, can I get out of this? And I really just have to meditate for anywhere from 10 minutes, an hour, 2 hours to get out of it. Maybe you have to eat some food. Get some protein in your system. There's so many things that affect you. Of course, a lot of it is purely spiritual as well, but there's so many things. And of course, what makes us act this way? Arjuna wants to know as well. What makes us act so sinfully and improperly against my own will, as if an overpowering force? He wants to know, just as we do. Thousands of years ago.
Fear of death.
Oh, fear of death. Evan? What causes us to act so sinfully and improperly?
I think I might have gone over this section, but I think it's the senses.
Krishna says it is lust and lust alone, which is the biggest enemy of the whole world.
Wanting anything.
A product of the mode of the passions, it eventually turns into anger. So yes and yes.
Just wanting more.
The wanting. The wanting more, the need, the desire. And of course, what do we got? Life is suffering. The cause of suffering is wanting. The end of suffering is to end wanting. And to end desire is to follow the Eightfold Path. What a scam.
Buy the next
They all
book.
lead
Buy
to
the
each
next
other.
book. Yeah, exactly. Well, if you really want to get the secret to life, buy my next book. Why'd I just pay
Eightfold
$9.95?
Path.
See, that was the publishing company's idea, though.
Yeah, fucking Buddha. Get out of town.
Not Buddha.
Yeah, who are these guys? Are they like just like authors trying to sell books?
Yeah, exactly.
We gotta know a little
Ancient
more.
1,000-year-old India.
Yeah.
Now's the year they're trying to sell more copies.
That's at the end of the Tao Te Ching. Now, I know that Rajma Gita has this this text in India.
Find out next time. Yeah.
You must go there.
So I says, obviously with the lust and the desires and passion, you really can see why the world is how it is today. Because it's so tough to overcome. But this is really the prime example for me that why the middle guna, the rajas, is actually the worst. Because it's saying right here, lust and lust alone is the biggest enemy of the whole world. It is a product of the mode of passion. He's practically spelling it out, but he's not saying it.
Yep.
What is passion? It's the middle guna.
Rajesh.
He doesn't even worry about tamas. Tamas ain't even causing no trouble.
Ooh.
Sure, they're kind of like maybe could be a little drain on resources. You could see it. It's not the best. It's not as good as sattva. But the enemy of the world is the senses, the passions, is rajas.
Are these all passions to achieve things? Can you, like, is Rajas like, what if you really want to be the best pianist in the world?
Yeah,
is that evil?
I guess I would say it's like, why do you want to be the best pianist?
Just to be the best.
Yeah.
I guess it is evil.
Yeah. You said I want to fucking be the best. But here's the thing, right? Think about the way this is worded. Karma yoga, if you're not attached to the outcomes, maybe you will be the best, but you won't even know you're the best because you're too busy enjoying playing piano. With language learning and my Eastern tongues I've been getting into, I hear people all the time talking about the biggest mistake is not even studying wrong. It's like doubting yourself. It's spending too much time. Oh, I'm never going to do this. Oh, because you're attached to the outcome instead of just enjoying reading the kanji, feeling the pen strokes as it go, being enlightened by the new meanings and the new understanding that you're grasping.
I feel like the Western world is just plagued by Rajas, man.
Rajas, my friend.
Everything, like our religion,
Seriously.
our economy, just everything. Western
have to
is
say
just
so.
all Raja.
And that leads to my point about relating to the Bible again. If we're just plagued by it, that seems like it's the wide path that leads to destruction, the Rajesh kind of thing, which most of us fall under.
Yeah,
that seems to be the most prominent in the human condition, is the Rajesh. That's
Narrow
why.
is the gate that leads to the kingdom of God.
Yep, and he. That's funny that, like you said, he didn't explain. He didn't say the word
didn't
Rajesh
say it.
specifically.
Yeah.
but he explained exactly.
I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
It's like up to you as the reader to be like, hey, I know this one. I see what's going on here.
Yeah, because the other two weren't really good or bad, it seemed.
Yeah.
But one is
even
very.
at first, you're like, okay, you don't want to be lethargic. You don't want to be all this stuff. But, maybe not necessarily. It's not your dream to be a lazy slob. But
in the
evil? Maybe not.
in the hypocrisy, I think, comes in. It's so important because if Rajesh is the one thing to worry about the most, everyone should be worried about that the most.
Yeah.
And you're
worrying causes the Rajesh
right,
even more.
and you're in Rajesh for saying someone else, or for condemning someone else who's in Rajesh.
Before you know it, you're paying for meditation classes.
And buying our next copy of the Eightfold Path. Yeah, I'll tell you what, and I think y'all are gonna hate me in the comments section, but it really is this feminine spirit that is taking over the world. Definitely the West, but the world. Women have cannot be anymore, and I'll tell you what, the men acting like women more than ever too. But they're not even in their proper role. We have forgot how to just be, and we're trapped in the Raja. So like you said, we try, and then we try to try, and then we try to not try, and then but it doesn't bring me any happiness, and I still have to take SSRIs, and I still have to post it on Instagram because I made a commitment, and now I'm making money off YouTube, so I got to keep doing that instead. And we fuel our psychosis until we're in the situation that we're in. And Krishna gets a little deep here, a little poetic when it comes to desire. Excessive desire can cover the mind's clarity, just as smoke covers fire, just as dust covers a mirror, Kamala, and the womb covers a fetus. Waste no time in controlling the senses and killing this sinful demon called lust. Meaning, do it now, meaning you can control the senses, but it feels like we don't even want to. Sometimes I feel that as well. Like, don't I even want to be controlling this? It's just a spirit that comes upon you. Can I? Is it even possible? But reinforcement like this makes it feel like it actually is possible. Why do you need all this stuff? Especially in the Western sense, you're going to die just like anybody else. Why are you so attached to these desires? Oh, I think a lot of, like myself, Poe just talking about parents. Oh, maybe you just want to be successful so your parents are proud. Maybe when you're young, you want to do it to get a lot of bitches. Maybe you want to, I don't know, show off. You just really want a lot of nice stuff, things. But time and time again, you get the things, and it's not what you thought they'd be. That's also another huge one, too. Just desiring. And maybe you get it, and you're like, oh, it's okay.
Do you think there is a natural, like, kind of like energy that kind of is mostly just the want to do things and it's okay. Like, I'm thinking of like I don't know, just kind of like someone who just wants to read. It's just like, I'm just going to read the next book. And it's going to do it. It's almost like being lazy, but in like an active way. Like you're not expecting a goal, but you just keep moving. Because
I think you are describing enlightenment, my friend.
Is that what it is?
I think so.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
You know, you like reading, so you do it.
Yeah.
But you're not like, I'm going to show everyone I'm smart.
Yeah. Like if
You're not going to like,
if you just like say like you make music, but you're not expecting anyone to hear it. Or maybe like you like research or like invent something, but you're not expecting to make money. You just like making things.
Boom, there it is. I think you're describing the flow state, enlightenment.
I can prove how that's enlightenment because I know a girl.
And it's not Rajas.
Yeah.
It's
No,
pure.
I don't
I think so.
Okay.
I know a girl who goes to the gym on the treadmill. She's reading a book, and I'm like,
I'm fit and smart.
I'm like, she has received her reward.
Yeah, oh,
you
there
know,
it is.
I'm fit and smart.
I see people walking reading books. I'm like, how do you read a book that's like going like this?
They are not reading
As
the
you're
book.
walking.
They just want people to know they're reading a book.
I think that's what it is.
There's
I
no
was
way.
fooled myself.
I've tried walking and reading.
The only time I've done that is when I like was lazy and like had to like take an exam in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, you're reading on the way to class.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
And that says you got to do this. You can't just be like, So the last phrase of the whole chapter, this might sum it up. Let me know what you think. The senses are superior to gross objects. The mind is superior to the senses. Higher than the mind is intelligence, and superior to the intellect stands the soul. And that concludes Karma Yoga. What do you think?
it sounds to me like the highest level of being you can achieve is kind of like what I asked before, that flow state. Where
Soul.
Right, soul. I would, if you're going to call it flow state, then we'll call it soul here in this verse.
Yeah, nice.
I think that's what it is. Just doing things because you like them and you're not expecting anything in return.
Yeah.
You're just doing stuff that you enjoy and you're not expecting to make money, be famous, let people see it. You just want to do it.
Yeah, and I think like it might even be a fake it till you make it thing, but this whole chapter is called Karma Yoga. It's called not being attached to the results. And that's almost like the soul. And the Karma Yoga, it's almost, you almost have to do it. You almost have to keep doing it, be in that state. And then before you know it, that is who you are. Like, oh, wait a second. I really don't care about the results of this.
I just like the path that I'm on.
Yeah, I think much like enlightenment, it just kind of happens. So they say in the ancient tales.
The fact that they have a hierarchy in there makes it seem like we can go on multiple of these planes a day.
Yeah.
Or every moment kind of thing. So at first I'm
where
thinking,
are you?
Yeah. At first I want to try to be humble and say like, I've probably never achieved that, but I feel like to some degree everyone has achieved that a
With
little
the
bit.
soul, yeah.
You know, at some point when they're maybe, especially when they're kids and have innocence, when they're
Yeah,
truly
exactly.
in the moment of doing something that they really wanted to do,
Yeah.
just to do it, kind of thing.
I like that a lot. That's a great way to see it. Are you with the objects? Because if you are, I think that's the lowest state. You know more than a couch, a bump on a log. Senses are higher than objects. Okay, it's more divine. It's one with man. Maybe synonymous with man being senses. And then we have the mind. It's the top of the man. It's the peak of the man, the pinnacle. It's that which causes understanding. But is it? Because we have the intellect, which is higher than the mind. Have you guys ever thought about that? Have you ever really separated the two?
The mind is what you mind. It's like what you care about.
Oh man, that was deep.
It's what you care about at a base level, and intellect is kind of like what you hear others say and you like consciously process.
Yeah.
But maybe-
understanding.
Oh, I could put it like this: the mind is instinct.
Yep.
And intellect is like working thought.
I like that.
I think intellect is delving deeper into the information your mind has gotten you.
Yeah.
You try to fill in the blanks of the spaces that the mind didn't give you. You try to predict and interpret results.
That's pretty good because retards still have minds. But if you're going to be deep, you need an intellect. Could be as simple as that. Right? How are you going to interpret this knowledge you have? The reptilian mind versus the mind of man versus the mind of the sage. So that's really cool. And then, of course, soul on top of them all. The mystery of faith, the eternal mystery. Guys, this has been Karma Yoga, Chapter 3. We're going to hit Chapter 4 next week. But for now, let's finish off episode 62 with Mitch Translates the Tao. We got a short but deep one today in Mitch Translates the Tao, Chapter 43. Let's get into it. The world's softest overcomes the world's hardest. Non-existence enters where there is no space. Thereby I know the benefit of non-action. To teach without words, to benefit from non-action is what the world aspires to.
Dude, so tangential to the readings today.
Isn't
That's crazy.
that crazy, man? This show is truly blessed.
All ties.
World's softest overcomes the hardest. Non-existence enters where there's no space. So let's start with the first one, right? Because I have some fun translation notes. Translator's notes by Mitch. The world's softest overcomes the world's hardest. Now, I want you to see it as like a horse race, like surpasses the world's hardest. It's like gallop. The Chinese character has to do with sort of a race, overcoming gallop horses.
I'm thinking Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee.
Water. Be like water.
Be like water.
Strong enough to break rock.
Yeah, there it is. The water breaks the rock. Over time, I think in the West we say, oh, the water erodes the rock eventually, blah, blah, blah.
You know what I thought of? The tortoise and the hare.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because the hare's going around and be like, man, I got so much time to eat berries and just chill.
What an Eastern tale in the West. I think that might have even came from the East, actually.
It may have.
Because they always reference that in anime as well, too, which is funny. Who knows? I want to be curious where they came from. Comment. Non-existence enters where there is no space. No space?
Oh, man.
You guys might be familiar with the gateless gate.
No.
It's a concept in Eastern philosophy. It's the way to enlightenment. It is the way to the moksha. Or in Japanese, it's called Satori. And it's the gateless gate. You must enter through the gateless gate is a phrase that they say all the time. But what is the gateless gate? How is there a gate if there's no gate?
I'm imagining like a gate with the doors just busted down.
Yeah, could be as simple as that. It's no like a gate, but it's not doing its job. Yeah. It's like it should be a gate.
or maybe it's like a borderline. It's very easy to cross. Like you don't need to. There's no barrier.
Mexican border.
Yeah, exactly. Without a wall.
Exactly, just like that. Just like that.
Oh God.
It's there. There is a barrier. There is a divider. But it's free passage.
The Rio Grande.
Oh,
it's at hand at all times.
I like that. It's at hand. It's just for you to take.
There's no gate. You don't got to push anything out of the way.
Yeah. It's almost as if all you really have to do is notice.
You're already on the manor. You're in the manor already.
Yeah.
You're through the gate.
Whoa, you're through the gate. Psh, like that. Whoa, already there. Whoa, but wow, that's even deeper than I was thinking. Because that's what before you know it, you're there. You wake up there. To teach without words, benefit from non-action is what the world aspires to.
And what the next line really killed me. It was like, for I know something comes from existence.
Thereby I know the benefit of non-action.
Oh man.
Now, non-action is a direct translation of Wu Wei. It's not acting.
The act of non-acting,
The
or
act
the
of
non-acting act.
Yeah, you could see it that way for sure. Being that which doesn't exist.
It blows my mind because it reminds me of your theory again of nothingness being too unstable.
Yeah.
You know, but I know that something comes from nothing.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
it must come. It's here.
Yeah.
And this is so relevant to today. It's so true. I teach without words. Isn't it true that in your lives that you learned more by watching? You learned more by feeling the vibes than someone sitting you down, slapping you in the face and saying this is the way it's going to be.
Every time.
Every time. And you really can't put words to it because you say maybe it's teaching without words. You can't put words to it.
You cannot teach
Yeah.
with words.
Those are those
Because
angelic.
it's just a threat, really. It's like, I'm going to teach you a thing or two. No,
'Cause it's
you know,
good
even if
for
it's
you.
not, it's good for, yeah. Even if it's not with the hand in the air
And you're
ready
like,
to slap.
"Okay, Grandpa."
It's like, yeah, seriously. Sit down. I'm smarter than you. Even if it has good intentions, I want you to be successful in this world. You're back to Rajesh. Why do you want me to be successful? Are you teaching me or what are you teaching me? To survive? To be a good person? Or all that stuff I could just learn by watching you and spending time with
You're
you.
saying words at me,
Yeah, seriously.
and I don't know why.
It's a form of violence. I wish you'd stop. Like, you're saying words at me, and I really wish you weren't right now.
They really are angelic moments, though, when you're taught by someone not trying to teach you.
Yeah.
When you're just witnessing the lesson happen.
Could it be what it means that the world's softest overcomes the world's hardest? Damn! I could slap you in the face, you gonna learn this lesson. Or I could just be like, hey, I'm with God, you know.
I like the idea that
And you absorb it anyway because that is so powerful. God is the most powerful. The gateless gate is the most powerful.
I like the fact that it's still acting, though, because that was what Krishna was trying to say. You must act. You must
Never
fight,
has
kind of
a
thing.
moment without action.
So the smallest stream in the world can still eventually overcome the hardest rock or boulder or something like that, just because it persists. It keeps going. It keeps on doing what it's doing.
Yeah.
It's not sitting there and be like, this rock's a lot bigger than me.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I like that symbolism or imagery because water is in motion. The soft is sort of doing. The rock is the stagnant.
The rock will never move.
Yeah, rock will not move, but the water sort of
Always
will
moves.
find its way to move. Man,
And defeat it.
Damn.
So, but wait, this says Rajas is better than Tamas.
Could it be?
I think that's what it's saying. Oh, well, it's the Tao. It's
That's
not
what I
the
was
Gita.
thinking. Yeah, I guess that's true. It's
Yeah.
a sort of different teaching, but
Yeah.
yeah, maybe it's saying
Because the Sattva would be, I guess,
maybe the
the
sattva
air.
is the water though.
Maybe.
But the water does not take into mind the outcome. It
Ooh.
just moves.
I feel like air is Sattva.
Yeah, I want to say water is sattva, rajas is just the nature of man, and the rock is the tamas, the lethargic.
It's already moved too much. It's tired. It's gone through eruptions and volcanoes
It
and
makes sense, right?
metamorphosis.
Because water is always moving, rock is always stagnant, and we're kind of in the middle. We're kind of one or the other. We're kind of tend towards
The
one
fluids, air and
Yeah.
water.
Oh, yeah, I could
the
see that.
fluids.
I like that
Because
a
the
lot.
wind will grind the rock
Oh!
away too.
But the cooler thing is that the rock's not even really dead either. You know, it's
Yeah.
going through a very, very slow transformation, kind of like the water is.
Yeah, very tamas.
It's being
maybe
acted
not
upon.
stagnant, but slow.
He's
as
letting it
gets.
happen.
Yeah, he's like, I don't give a shit about nothing.
It's like
Not
Grind me
necessarily
away.
divine, but it's better than being a piece of shit Rajas.
it's like a fire ant nibbling at your toe, and then you don't realize it until it's already halfway up to your
So
kneecap.
the Rajas would be the Hoover Dam being blown up. The humans coming in and building the Hoover Dam.
Guys, I think we got to the bottom of it. This has been episode 62. Catch us next time. I want Bodhidharma, good karma, and shawarma for me.